bagpiper and drummer James Sawyer and Aaron Rosen. Congratulations. Thank you very much for being here, laddies. Thank you very much, everybody, for this fantastic event. We're going to kick butt to get some good people. All right. Hear me? Is this clear? All right. We are very honored this afternoon, I guess it's getting on to the afternoon, to have the Honorable Michael Coteau from our MP's office, the federal riding here. Congratulations and thank you very much, Mr. Coteau, for being here. Very, very special and very important.
Well, thank you so much, and it's great to be able to join each and every one of you in our MPP, Dr. Adil Shamji. It's great for him to be here as well. I grew up in Flemington Park. I grew up when the three Winford buildings were the first three buildings that were put up here. I could remember, and it was a big deal. You know, back then there was some new development in the community. And this neighborhood has always been a great neighborhood, vibrant and louder.
Car.
Oh, car. Car's coming. I wanted to be here today. Obviously, I'm the federal representative, and we don't have a lot power when it comes to development in a community. But I do have my voice. And I know as being a former school board trustee that you know, when community goes through development, there's a lot of needs that are necessary, things that need to be put in place before you can actually go forward. And in fact, you know, communities, when they're being developed, it shouldn't be, you know, how the building is, you know, how the community is going to respond to a building going up. It should be, how does the building fit into a community?
Right.
And it's exactly that. That's what should happen. And, you know, I look around here, we need way more supports in place, you know, to even entertain the prospect of more development. You know, schooling, community centers, you know, different types of traffic, you know, traffic control and studies. Over the last several years in this community, there has been, and I'm talking about the Don Mills corridor, there has been a lot of proposals for new development. In fact, from Overlea all the way up to Fairview Mall along our corridor, there's almost 100 buildings that are being planned to be put up. And the problem with that whole situation, I've been very public about my opposition to the lack of planning and consultation in the community. In fact, where I grew up across from the Science Center, 7 Rochfort and 11 Rochfort, the 2 little brown buildings, that's where I grew up. Those buildings are being torn down and high-rise buildings are going up. And the people who have lived there have been there for 40 years paying rent, and they're just going to be thrown out of those buildings. They will not be able, many of them will not be able to afford to live in the new buildings that are coming up. So, you know, this is a lack of community consultation, a lack of community planning, and I've been very public about this. Our previous councillor, after many times of trying to ask him to build a community plan, you know, has failed to do so. So I'm glad we have a new councillor who is there he is, Burnside, our city councillor. I'm glad that we have a councillor that actually shows up to these events, that listens to people, and will be with you to bring your voice to City Hall. And I'll be supporting John as much as I can in the community. And I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me here today. And out of all my years, you know, I spent 8 years as a school board trustee, 10 years as the MPP, and 2 years as a member of parliament. I would say that this is probably one of the best protests that I've ever seen in my 20 years as a politician in our community, because we have a quiet community, you know. There's, you know, and that's a good thing, right? Make no mistake, when things do happen, we do need to do exactly what you're doing here today, and that's get together to make sure that we can actually bring our voice forward to the places like Queen's Park, City Hall, and the House of Commons to ensure that our voice is not lost. The fact that you have all 3 levels of government here today is a great thing, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your organization, and thank you for your advocacy, and let's keep going. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michael. And now if I go to the provincial level, I have Dr. Adil Shamji, is that right?
You got it.
MPP. Congratulations and thank you for being here.
I just had to check my watch and see if we were at morning or afternoon yet. Good morning, everyone. It's my honor to be here as your elected provincial representative, and I wanted to start by telling a story. A few months ago, I shot a video right over there, right next to that yellow sign that says "Keep Right," standing in front of the fire hydrant. And I said that, yeah, we need more housing, but it needs to make sense. It can't be the kind of housing that paves over everything, that doesn't have room for schools, that doesn't have room for parks, that doesn't have a plan for infrastructure. And I said, we have that problem right here on Winford Drive. Yeah! And let me tell you what happened after I put that out. I'm sorry, but let me tell you what happened after I put out that video on social media. Rather than getting a response back from, this isn't the only way I talk to the Ford government, but rather than get a response back and say, you know what, you may be onto something there, or thanks for letting us know, instead what they said was they mocked me. They said I was against housing. They said I was against the people here on Winford Drive. Well, that's not what I'm hearing from the people on Winford Drive. That's not what we're here to say. And it hasn't mattered whether I put out a video on social media or I've stood up in the legislature to say that this is a problem. They seem hell-bent on continuing along this process. But the beauty about our democracy and our government, and most importantly, our community, is that when we all come together, federal, provincial, municipal, and most importantly, with all of you, our voices become impossible to ignore. Yay! And I worry that this is part of a broader trend towards our voices being encroached upon. Because as you all know, we have another problem in this area. They're proposing to demolish our science center. And we've heard loud and clear from all of you that that's not something that we want either, or at least that we should be consulted on that first. So actually what we're, just so you know, I'll be here with you for another 10-15 minutes. And then I'm heading downtown because OPSEU has said they're joining us in our battle to save the Science Center. Yay! So we're not going to take this. We're going to stand up together as a collective. We're going to make sure our voice is heard. And I want you to know that I stand with you, and I'll work with my federal partners, my municipal partners, and anyone that's willing to help us have a balanced approach to housing in our community and across the entire province. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you. We can't do this without you.
That's Dr. Shamji. And now I have the great honor to introduce our local councillor, John Burnside. Congratulations, John. Thank you very much for being here.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here, but kind of sad why we're here. Right? Kind of sad that the rules have changed so much that everything just seems to get a rubber stamp. I do want to, however, before I get into that, I do want to thank, of course, my counterparts, Michael and Adil. I know they work hard for the community, but also there are a lot of volunteers who work really hard for the community here. Al McKellar, Winford Concord Residence Group, right over here, thank you. And my good friend John Cockrell from the Don Mills Residence. Hey. They do all the groundwork. They really do. And oh yeah, hold on, yeah, but I'm coming down to Richard for organizing this, and all his other efforts, but I just want to give you the residence groups first, although you're part of the residence group as well. So I'll include Richard. Richard, thank you so much for all your hard work organizing this, but also his analysis and of all the applications, as well as the work of of Al and John and their whole team, keeping issues on the front burner and representing you so well and liaising with me in my office. So it's a real help, and thank you so much for that. But, you know, it's great that OPSEU is supporting our efforts with the Science Center, but I wish another union called LiUNA would actually put people ahead of profits. Right? Unions, I'm not a pro-union, anti-union person. I just want the truth to talk. And when you say you're for people, you need to be for people. Can't be for, this is all about profit. And let's call it what it is. Now, I'm not necessarily anti-profit, but don't say you're for people when you're for profit. Okay? Let's do away with that hypocrisy. Unfortunately, this developer, Fengate, and they're down at 175. Very difficult to deal with. Yeah. Very difficult. I came in late in the process, unfortunately, but ultimately, when you don't have someone that wants to negotiate in good faith, it's hard to negotiate. Yeah. Our planning department worked with the developer. It's now in front of the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is basically a court for development. Everyone there is appointed by the provincial government. So it's very much stacked against us. There was an agreement in principle that came to City Council. I was able to get Council to reject that offer. 90-time Council just rubber stamps these things. I did get them to reject it. It went back to the table, I'm not sure what's coming back, but unfortunately, if we don't come to some terms that is acceptable to the community, it will be the land tribunal that makes that decision.
But isn't a tribunal supposed to be neutral?
They are, but the legislation in front of them. So, for instance, when we talk about development around transit, there's a minimum density. Winford, as John and Alan will tell you, have blown past those numbers. Blown, not even just exceeded, blown past those numbers. To me, those minimums are it's okay for them to be the starting point, but if you want to blow past those numbers, you have to prove that you do more than just build housing. There has to be somewhere to work, there has to be somewhere to play. If you can justify that, then you can increase your density. That's not happening here. We know that. We know over at Yonge and Lawrence, where there's a subway that actually works, that they have 2-story buildings. So back to this lack of planning, this lack of foresight, and unfortunately the decisions we make today, or that in fact are made for us today, are going to affect communities for 50 to 100 years. And that's why it's so important that everyone comes out today, that our voices are heard, and that we don't give up till that permit is issued. Thank you so much. Please reach out to my office at any time. Here to fight with you, here to fight for you, and we'll do whatever we can to make this the best that we can. Thank you.
Much everybody for being here. This is a dream come true. Thank you. I trucked my report on a dolly all the way downtown to the 5 lawyers' offices. I didn't ask for an invitation. I hand-delivered it. Look out. I went down to City Hall a couple of days ago. I got a rude introduction at CBC News. They thought I was a terrorist. I had 5 security guards surround me, and then the receptionist was mumbling something like, "I better call upstairs. This is getting out of control." A Summer Strachan came down. "Hi, I'm the manager of security of CBC News. You're under attack." I said, "No, you're under attack for not showing up." So then I went to CP24. And I got in their building, but I didn't get very far. Another security man said, "You must get out now." "Oh, thanks for the invitation." So then I thought, I'll go to City Hall, see what's doing. John, I've never seen such turnstiles, security turnstiles in my life. I was employed there for 30 years as city planning under six chief planners, all the way from John Bauer, planning commissioner of Toronto. Nobody remembers John Bauer, 1990, be there. The security at City Hall said, "Who are you?" I said, "I've just retired." "And you are not allowing me in?" "No, you can't go up to A Street, B Street, or C Street." Guess who showed up? I waited long enough, but Councillor Josh Matlow, my old councillor from Toronto St. Paul's. I said, "Josh, here I am. Mayoralty candidates I invited weeks ago. What does that say? This would have been a perfect Don Mills, Winford Concord platform for the mayoralty candidates." What I say is, I'll tell you who might be the next provincial premier. Bonnie Crombie, Mississauga. Yep. She has kicked butt for Mississauga. She has the Hazel McCallion Act. That's right. And they rejected 2 twin towers near the GO station at Lakeshore. I just talked to Stephen Dasco, Ward 1 councillor down there, and he says, "We're kicking butt against the Ontario Land Tribunal." And you know what I talked to? I talked to a lawyer downtown. I just fished around, and I found a lady named, I think her name is Sandra Boutis, from a law firm downtown. And you know what she said? She said, in effect, the OLT, Ford's government, fired me. Oh. Yes, fired me. I was an Ontario Land Tribunal judge, and because I had environmental sympathy, I was gently pushed out. And if you look up the terms when those OLT members started, those judges started around 2021, 2022. What does that say? That Ford put them in. Under Kathleen Wynne and premiers before, it was more based on skill and judgment rather than political background. I am annoyed. And she said, "Oh, sir, that might get me fired if I tell you." Well, too bad. I was sad for her, but I'm sad for our community. I don't quit. McFarland's motto is this: I'll defend. I will defend your community. And my Scottish war cry is Loch Sloy. Will everybody say Loch Sloy? Loch Sloy! Aye, thank you.
Sustainable. It certainly should be brought down.
Stopping development, as if Canada has no more land,
That's right.
even though we're the largest country in the free world, right? We're supposedly the largest country in the world.